Welcome back to the channel. If you watched my last video where I was on Big Gull Lake, I'll link that right up here. You know, it didn't end exactly as planned. I had to be towed home. Well, I wanted to look into that, figure out what was going on. So this video, we're gonna go over how I figured out the problem and how I fixed it. All right, let's get into it. While scrubbing through the footage, I actually found a couple of clips where the buzzer would be going off while we were driving, and because we were under power, you know, doing 35 miles an hour or whatever, windy, the camera's mounted at the back right beside the engine. We didn't hear it while we were driving. I'll put some of those clips in right now. So when I got back home, I talked to a good friend of mine who works at a Merc dealer, so he hooked me up with the digital copy of the factory service manual so I could dive into the diagnostics, figure out what my problem actually was. Because when I quick Google search while I was on the water, it pointed to a bunch of different things. You can't always trust Google, right? As it turns out, it was the oil injection warning buzzer going off. Basically, it was saying there was no oil being pumped from the oil pump into the engine, which for two strokes, well, for any engine in general, oil is kind of a necessity. On two strokes, it doesn't have a sump like a four stroke. It relies on the fuel being mixed in with the gas in order to get lubrication. So if that was true and there was no oil being pumped to it, if I kept driving it or tried to limp it home, if it wasn't pumping, it could have been catastrophic engine failure, which I really wasn't down for that. So I had a brief overview of the diagnostics, what I needed to look for. Main thing I had to test was the oil tank sensor, just a float switch that says if the reserve tank is full, which gets filled from the main tank in the back of the boat. If the reserve flows down into the oil pump, and that's how it gets its oil. Next thing is the pump itself. There's a sensor on the top of the pump that tells it if it's spinning. It's a motion sensor. It's saying, yes, the shaft is turning. A common thing on these motors is there's a plastic drive gear on the crankshaft that drives that shaft that drives the oil pump. Well, that gear can strip over time. It's 30 years old after all. Doing the testing on that involves removing the oil pump, 2 bolts, it's quite simple, turning the motor over with the spark plugs removed, making sure the little shaft spins. Did that, spun no problem. I couldn't hold it with a screwdriver, so that's driving. Another test they give you is an oil output test. So you run it for a specified time, it's 3 minutes at 1500 RPM, and you should have a certain amount of oil, I think it was 20 milliliters pumped out when you're running it from a auxiliary tank. I did that, I had 23, so I had over the minimum spec. So it's pumping oil. That's a good thing. I know I wasn't blowing the motor up. Now just to figure out why the buzzer was going off, and the engine every now and again was hard to start, wasn't running the best. It turns out that ended up being what was wrong with it. Looking online, everyone just says, delete the oil injection system, premix. Well, 100-liter tank, built in, it's a pain to premix. I don't feel like doing that. Plus, it's inconvenient, especially because a lot of times if I filled up on the water before, it's a real pain to be able to mix oil in there to get a good mixture, and you can't ever remix it. I know driving around with the boat and the trailer, I don't like that. I like oil injection. When it works great. So since our float switch and our oil pump all passed the test, the next thing to test is the oil warning module. Now you can't really test the module per se, you have to test all the inputs and outputs, and if it fails, the module is no good. One test is just a 12 volt signal out. The white wire puts 12 volt power to the sensor to power the sensor up. That had 12 volts, that's a pass. The light blue and white stripe wire is to have an alternating 1 volt and 5 volts with the spark plugs removed, and you're turning the motor over by hand. I put a ratchet on top. Slowly turn it over. It should go 1, 5, 1, 5. That indicates it's getting its signal. It's telling it it's spinning. That was passed. So, all right, we're good to go. The next test, it takes power from your switch box. There's a green wire that comes off the switch box that goes to this to tell that engine's running. That's supposed to have same voltage as your coil. That's where I kind of got thrown for a loop. So I followed the wiring back, tested it, which I thought was at the right switch box. There's 2 switch boxes, one for the port, one for the starboard side. So I tested the one, figured, okay, it's got its voltage. I even tested it at the coils, and it had its voltage. What's going on? So I thought the module was dead. I called the local shop. He had a used module for me to try. He's like, just go try it. If it works, come back and pay me. If it doesn't work, bring it back. Super nice guy. Perfect. I grabbed it, hooked it up, the same problem. Back to the drawing board I went. What I ended up doing for the next test is my multimeter has a tachometer adapter that I'm able to see engine RPM. So I started the boat up, ran it, and went to each of the 6 spark plug leads. Well, sure enough, the one side, the starboard side, was great. The port side showing good, and then all of a sudden, no spark. So I checked all 3 on this side at that same time. Not any of them had any signal. I went back to starboard side, showed signal. I came back and had signal. So it was intermittently dropping spark on the entire port bank cylinders. That was really telling the oil module that the engine is rotating, but you're not getting the signal you should be. That's what triggered the alarm. So that diagnostic led me to the switch box. OEM Merc one is $600 plus tax. Just to confirm my diagnosis, I ordered an Amazon one right here for $40. The reviews were not the best, saying it doesn't last long. But that's okay. I didn't care about that. I'll spend the $40 to test it. Sure enough, as soon as I hooked that one on, fired it up, no beeping, engine ran great, started right up, had spark on all 6 all the time, ran strong. So I sucked it up, ordered an OEM Merc one, put it on, boat runs great. So it worked good, had me back on the water pretty quick. My biggest fear was that crank gear. I was gonna have to do that. It's a time consuming job. You have to pull the power head off the motor, separate the crankcase halves, change out the gear, put all that together. It's not an impossible job, but not really something I wanted to do during fishing season. Obviously that would have been a winter project, but it's only, this happened in July. I didn't exactly want to end my fishing season in July. But thankfully it worked out pretty good that all I needed to do was do that switch box, bit the bullet, $600. It is what it is. I've had this thing 5 years now. That's the first thing I've ever had. I can't complain. It's been a solid motor. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today, folks. Hope you enjoy this type of video where I get a bit technical, diving into trying to fix my own motor. Maybe I can help you fix your own motor, save you some time, some money, get you back out in the water a lot sooner than waiting for marina for 2-3 weeks in the peak summer. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you have, thanks so much for the support. I appreciate it. Every comment, I enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.